global conversation continues here with a special panel, Innovation and Sustainable Development, How Young People Are Using Social Media to Change Their World. The question that has been driving all of our exciting morning and that will be taking this conversation forward. It is my pleasure to invite to the stage right now this conversation featuring UNICEF's Anthony Lake and Daniela Mercury, the UNICEF Brazil National Ambassador. This is a conversation that's going to be moderated by our friend Gabriel Pilar Grossi. Please come on up, Gabriel, Daniela, Tony, come on board. And please help welcoming this exciting conversation about the next generation.
Oi.
Tudo que eu fiz foi ouvir o que meu peito diz, que apesar de toda mágoa.
Olá, bom dia a todos. Hi, everyone. Very nice to be here. Let's start with a very broad question as we're talking behind the scenes. Mr. Lake, how exactly UNICEF is using social media to create and spread a better future for children in our world?
Thank you very much, Gabriel. Let me first say that I know that all of you and those who are attached through social media have heard many words. So I am tempted to suggest that instead of our spending the next 20 minutes in a conversation, we simply ask Daniela to sing to us for the next 20 minutes. But, and I would put it to you to vote, except that my feelings would then be hurt when you obviously would rather listen to her sing than me talk.
Thank you, Mr. Lake. It's
But
a good way to...
maybe at the end, UNICEF is using social media in a number of different ways, all very important purposes. Traditionally, we have used it in order to call attention to issues that are not otherwise going to get enough attention, to try to change behavior of people so that they do more breastfeeding or wash their hands or whatever, and of course to raise resources. But there's a fourth also that is emerging very clearly, and that is how social media can contribute to our being as effective as we can in our development activities. We have over 3 million friends and followers on Facebook and through Twitter. And we're using it in different ways. Let me very quickly, 3 examples. One is in the Sahel. Over 1 million children are facing severe acute malnutrition, which means that they could die very quickly. And the traditional media are simply not paying very much attention to it. So working with UNDP and the World Food Program and Oxfam and others, we have been using social media to reach out to them through #SahelNow. And we have reached over 160 million people around the world about the problem in the Sahel. That was impossible 10 years ago. Sure. Another example, here in Rio, when I was here a few months ago, I went to a favela and I saw there youths flying kites, which would be a nice thing, but it was a very practical thing because attached to the kites were cameras, and that was helping them map their area, which they also do with their cell phones and GPS, to find in the neighborhoods those most dangerous areas. They then put it into digital mapping, which then calls attention to the problems, and they work with local government to fix those problems. And then the one that excites me the most is I was just in Uganda, and we have something there called U-Report, where we have now over 120,000 youth spread in communities throughout Uganda who are communicating with us about the problems in their communities, if teachers are not going to school, if healthcare workers are not doing their jobs properly. And twice a week, we send out questions to them. When I was there, we asked them, what is the best food to feed children under 6 months old? And we sent it out to our reporters. Within a day, we had over 20,000 answers from all around the country. 69% of them said the right answer, which is breastfeeding. But what was interesting is we could tell where in Uganda the answers were right and they were wrong, so that we could then focus our efforts encouraging breastfeeding in those areas. I think that as they do this, and as we do it now in other countries, again, like here in Rio, it puts pressure on local authorities because all of this is very transparent and public, and it is, in effect, democratizing development so that we can more and more base our development efforts from the bottom up around the real needs of people rather than from the top down.
And how exactly this meeting here in Rio, the Rio+20, meets all these actions UNICEF is doing right now? Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I want to hear from Daniela, but let me be very brief.
We'll just be with her.
Yes, okay, let me be very brief. All of this is talking about sustainable development. And the fact is today, 20,000 children, 20,000 individual children will die of unnecessary causes. Around the world, 180,000 children are stunted, which means that they will never develop their full physical and cognitive capacity. I could go on, but the children who are the most deprived around the world are often in indigenous areas, girls, many others. This is not only a moral failure, but it is a practical failure, because you cannot have sustainable development if you are not equitably investing in children's health, children's education, in a greener planet. And what is deeply disturbing is how it is the children who have so little voice, but they can have more voice through social media, who will, a generation or two from now, inherit a world that will either fix these injustices or not. And people of my generation have here in Rio a huge burden to work for justice for the next generations sustainably.
Daniela, eu vou falar um pouquinho em português, peço desculpas aos que... Acho que todo mundo tem a tradução, certo? Sobre o seu trabalho no UNICEF. Você é embaixadora do UNICEF no Brasil desde 95. Queria que você contasse um pouco para a gente como você vem trabalhando.
Obrigada. It's a great pleasure to be with you, but I speak in Portuguese. I'm in my country, to have communication with my followers and my fans, and it's my expression, my emotion is in Portuguese better than in other language. Thank you. Meu trabalho com o UNICEF começou porque eu já tenho esse compromisso dentro da minha casa, né? Eu sou filha de assistente social, sou irmã de uma socióloga, e já tínhamos esse testemunho e esse exercício de dever civil, de responsabilidade civil com a comunidade. Quando eu fui convidada para fazer a primeira campanha com a UNICEF de soro caseiro, houve uma vitória enorme. As crianças quiseram usar o soro caseiro, teve uma ótima repercussão, e, a partir daí, eu me tornei, de lá para cá, a embaixadora de todas as causas do UNICEF, não só no Brasil, mas em Angola, na Argentina, no Chile, em Portugal, em todos os países onde eu viajo, e alguns com mais atenção, por serem lugares que precisam de minha atuação como embaixadora também. Mas eu tenho aproveitado todos os meus shows para passar mensagens. O meu trabalho artístico, ele é um trabalho de reforço à autoestima da população negra, né? Canto da Cidade, Pérola Negra, são canções muito afirmativas, importantes para a comunidade da minha cidade e todos os negros que vivem no Brasil, que ainda sofrem bastante discriminação. Eu também sempre aproveito para fazer canções, como eu fiz no último trabalho sobre os índios, chama Dona desse Lugar, que foi uma resposta a uma visita minha